Hi, everybody. It's Thursday night. A little bit more with Embrilliance. And we're going to start going into the Enthusiast. Just as a recap, that design, it's the same thing as Designer's Gallery. Embroidery Works. The Essentials is the same as Embroidery Works Every Day. And Enthusiast is the same thing as Embroidery Works Advanced. Their Stitch Artist from Embrilliance is the same thing as our Designer's Gallery Creator. They are the same product, just different names, just like Brother and Baby Lock are pretty much the same machines, same thing. The only thing is that Baby Lock no longer supports the Designer's Gallery series of stuff, which is sad because it's been around since, oh gosh, I think before 2000. Because I got my first machine in 2001, and one of the first things I got was Designer's Gallery Studio, so we could look at our stuff, so that's where it all started. And so they don't support it anymore. However, the designer and owner of Designer's Gallery is Brian Bailey, who is also the owner and developer of what do you call it? Embrilliance. They're the same thing. If you have licenses for the Designer's Gallery series of stuff, you can download the Embrilliance platform and plug in those serial numbers that you have from Designer's Gallery, and they will work just fine. So that is probably the only company I've ever heard to do that, which I am most grateful for. So I wish they had done the same thing with Masterworks, because I do dearly love till this day my Masterworks, but it is no longer supported. So I am using the Embrilliance more and more and getting to like it. I still like it better than the palette or PE design. Sorry, I just do. And I've had palette since it was version 2.0, which is 20-something years. So when I was 7,
So I have a question.
Yes.
Letterworks is part of Embrilliance, right?
Letterworks is no longer separate. The Letterworks that you knew as Letterworks is now part of that Essentials.
Oh, it's part of Essentials.
It's already there.
Oh,
So yeah, it's already there. Maybe fewer fonts. It doesn't have as many because Essential comes with 14 fonts. And you can add as many BX fonts as you want to it. You can add more and more BX fonts. It only comes residently with 14. I don't think, did Letterworks ever do true type fonts? I can't remember.
I think so.
I think so. You don't get the true type fonts until you get into the creator system, but you don't really need them. If you don't have any products at all, I would recommend you start with the Essentials. A lot of people, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Enthusiast. The Enthusiast is standalone. It's the same as our Embroidery Works Advanced. However, it's missing some things. It's designed to work with the Essentials, not instead of. It'll add things to it, but if you want to resize, you still need the Essentials to do it. It doesn't have resize. It doesn't have a lot of things in the standalone Enthusiast, but it does other really interesting things. It's still, all in all, if you wanted to do digitizing, basic digitizing, I would get the Essentials, the Enthusiast, and Creator 1. You really don't need it. If you want to go into really fancy, get Creator 2, which includes 1. Then I almost never use anything from Creator 3. I'll use stuff from 2. I usually mostly use the drawing tools, and you can do a lot of things. Both Lisa Shaw and the Brighton Leap, which is the main company of Embrilliance, has lots. I'm talking hundreds of tutorials on their on YouTube, and they're very well written, and they're really well done. Lisa is by far the expert. She's better than anybody I've seen, including all the Masterworks people. We used to have one gal, I can't remember her name. But she used to do all of the software for Baby Lock. She had as much luck with the the computers as I do. I mean, things are always blowing up and making a mess. But Lisa's got things in hand, so a lot better than me. There is also a really good Facebook group for the Embrilliance that the stitch artist, you wouldn't believe the things these people do. I have no idea how they do them, because to me it looks like stuff that even Embroidery Jerry would have trouble doing. So really good work. Okay, so let me go to share screen. Okay, so here's my basic screen. And we talked about it's just like in Windows, everything you have, you can do more than one way. There's more than one way to do a whole lot of things. So like this is my basic screen, and I have it on, mine is showing both the Embrilliance Essentials as well as the Enthusiast, the buttons and stuff. Okay, now what Enthusiast adds, it is standalone, but what it does add to the Enthusiast, to the Essentials, is it adds knockdown stitches. What knockdown stitches are, let me just open up, say you're going to do a towel or a Christmas stocking or something like that, and you wanted to use, let me open one up. Say I wanted to put that on a towel with some letters in the middle or something like that. Then what you could do is knockdown. What happens is a lot of times with towels, especially really thick plush towels, is that after you get, even though you put topper on it, you know, especially the Solvay topper, that after a while, once that topper dissolves away, over time, the pile of the towel, you know, the fibers of the towel will poke their way through the embroidery stitches, and it looks like the top of your embroidery is covered with lint. So, and especially if you're doing something small, you're doing some small lettering, and let me add some lettering here to this. I'm just going to add, I'll just put it over here, and I'll just make it bigger. Okay, say I was putting that on a towel or putting it over here. Well, I'll just leave them separate. That if I wanted to add, what happens, especially with satin stitches, like on the ABC, what happens is the pile of the towel is going to work its way through. And even though you put Solvay underneath of it, the Solvay dissolves away. And if you have a particularly fine design, it's going to just disappear inside of the pile. Like, especially if you had something like, okay, say you picked something like that. Okay, this is too small, and you're not going to see it through a towel at all. So this would be something you might want to add a knockdown stitch to. So you would select, I just selected this part of the design, and I come up to Utility, and you put Add Knockdown Stitching, and you can tell it here. I'll do bidirectional, which means it's going to go in all directions, and I want it to be, inflate. It says the inflation is how big do you want it to go around. So if you don't want it to show very much, say maybe do it 2.5 millimeters around, and then you hit OK, and see how it adds these stitches, and it added them to the beginning. So when it stitches, it's going to look like this. It's going to do these white stitches or whatever color you want them to be. It's going to stitch those down first, and then it's going to, well, that was a second. Then it's going to start to put the design on top of it. So you'd put your Solvay on top of this simply to have your stitches go nice and straight. But now this is not going to be hidden inside the pile of the towel. And they work really well, like if you were doing a Christmas stocking, this would work really well if I pick this one and add Utility Knockdown Stitches to it. And I want them really small, so I could even go even smaller, maybe about 1 millimeter away. And see, now it added it underneath. So now you barely see it, but it's going to knock down the pile of the fur. And here's another one. So did that one. So here's what we did. It did all the knockdown stitches at one time. Although you can move these around, so I could move that so that it went just before it, and put this over here. So it would now show you. I want this one next. Okay. So now it would stitch right on top. You have the ABCs. Both of these would be good for towels. This would be good for a Christmas stocking. You know how you embroider their names at the top on top of the furry stuff? Furry stuff's kind of hard to control, so you can actually do knockdown stitches are very, very helpful. They also can be used to do some shadow work, so you can actually change these and like move this around a little bit. See how I created a shadow on the ABC? That's what I like to use the knockdown stitches for. So I would change this, change its color to maybe pink. Ick. No, that doesn't look good at all. Let's go with this pink. Okay, so yeah, that would, so now you've got a different font that you hadn't used before. So there's lots of things you can use that knockdown. And I think it's one of the best parts of the Embrilliance. Okay, it has some wizards. Let me go ahead and get rid of these. Don't need that anymore. And that I don't need anymore. And I don't need this underlay anymore. When I resize this, it has how many stitches? 5,088 stitches, and it's 2.5 by 4 inches is the size of it. So that's fine. So I could select this. And what you have is you've got some wizards for the carousel. And they're going to be under, let me see, where are they? There they are. They're under utility. So here are your wizards for the carousel and the mirror 4x4. Instant repeat is sort of like working with the border functions. So I could take this and I could flip alternate rows, and I could have maybe 2 across or 3. Okay. And I could stagger the columns if I wanted to. Okay, and I could move the spacing in between. Wrong way. I want to go this way. No. And mirror. No, I don't like that. But you can sit and play with these and get them to look how you want them. You can put them closer together, and it create. Now you can, like you'd make. There we go. So now there's, it's an unusual border, but you know what? Let me get rid of all of these. Undo. Redo. Okay, so pick this one, and I'm going to rotate it. And you can do that in everything. And usually, if I were going to turn this into a border, I could come in. I want to rotate that so it's on a single line. So there. Okay, I could now go to my utility and my instant repeat and make it 2 down and flip the alternate and 2 across. Well, I'll just make 4. Okay, and there we go. And I want to, no. Now I could take and click off, click on, hold the control key and click on this one. And now I can take this and flip that. And now I've got a whole, now that would make a nice border. So I could now combine these. Click off, combine. So I'm selecting them all. And I am going to now group. So I can group this together as a design. And now I could also turn this into a continuous border. Granted, it's too big for anything that anyone would use, but you get the idea that you can now create continuous borders with it. So you could take this and again now turn this into a instant repeat and make it 2 across, and now okay. And see, now you've got the beginnings of, let me turn this even littler. Let's see, scoot it over. See, there it is. There's your continuous border. And I think that's, So like you can create a lot of different things that look completely different than what you started out with. The Enthusiast and the Essentials are really good for manipulating designs you already have. Not many people digitize their own designs. I like to do that, but a lot of people don't. I also really don't have to because I have more designs than God. I don't need any more, but you know what? They're never what you want, right? No matter what you have, you always want more of them. So let me go to select all and delete. And I've deleted everything. Okay,
Now,
so
what
now,
did you hit to hit delete everything?
oh, I use the object shortcut over here on the objects pane. When you bring something up, these things mean different stuff. Well, let me bring something in and I'll show you. So the next utility I want, oh, mirror. Okay, let's bring in the same thing. I'm going to bring in a design. Actually, I can merge. It's safer to merge than it is to bring in something new. Okay. Do I have anything little? Okay, let's just use this one and we'll make it smaller. Here we go. Okay, this is too big. I'm just going to make it smaller. Yeah, something small. I'm going to stick it in the middle. Okay, so the next utility we have is the mirror 4x4, which is new. And see, now I can tell it how many up and down I want to use. It'll turn into 4. I can rotate them. Let's make them 45 degrees. This is, oh, that's interesting. Sometimes it's fun to see what you come up with. Okay. And so that gives you, those are fun to do with fonts. Like if you let me delete this one, and if I take a font and I'm just going to put my name. It's really pretty with script ones. Well, let me find a script font. Here's one. Okay. And now I take that and I put that into a mirror 4x4. And I change the angles. Let me go this way. Okay. And see, now I've got a different design. I can also take this same script, and the next one would be a carousel, which is fun to play with. You tell it how many pieces you want in there, or, well, let's see, best invert, no, I'll leave it auto rotate, and I'm just going to rotate them and see what I come up with. And count. Eight. And I think I'll rotate them the other way. So you can, let me move this out of the way. Come here. There. And so you can sit and play with this. You can tell it how big you want it to be. This is to fit a 5x7 hoop. And you can move them in closer together, further apart, rotate all, count 8. And I'll just leave it like that. But you can, I can play with these for days, and kids really love these. These make really nice, pretty design, pretty pillows or Christmas ornaments. Not this big, but you know. See, I could also make this smaller so that it fits in a 5x7 hoop or a 4x4 hoop. There's one. I'm going the wrong way. 4x4, telling it that I want to do a 4x4 hoop. Come on. You know, I'm just going to type in 100 there. It's easier. Okay, it's a little close, but you know, that looks like an interesting knot. That would make a cute snowflake or something really interesting design. So these were real popular years ago. People used to make key rings out of them and make Christmas ornaments. This would look really nice if you stitched on organza or bridal tooling and attached it to like an old CD, so it's silvery behind it. So, but this would be really cute. So that's one purpose for that. So let's go ahead and delete this. Select all and delete. Okay, the next one is be scatter, and that would be like, if I'm just going to pick a letter, I'm going to just do an A. Okay, and then you scatter it. Scattering is nice if you're making your own fabric. That's the only time I've ever used it, is that you can sit there and play with it and have it figure. Let me come down some. Let me go to change the hoop. I want to see this when they have the compass rose. The A means show just what is all selected, or all of it, everything on the screen. S means just what you have selected, and H shows you the size of the hoop. Okay, so now say here's, I think I have is the 5x7 hoop. So if I use this utility and I go to scatter and come over here out of the way, and minimum, make them smaller and spacing closer together, and then hit new pattern. And so it puts it random, and you can keep doing that till you find one you like. It's gone random mirror and random auto rotate, so you can keep hitting new pattern until you get one like you like. Would I use that? No, but a lot of times I'll do it at Christmas time. I'll do like a snowflake, a little snowflake, and then I'll put it all over the place. Then I'll embroider on top of that. A lot of times you can do like a little outline design of a snowflake and then put metallic thread in there and make some really pretty fabric for Christmas. That's pretty much all I've ever used that for. Okay, so those are the wizards that are included in the Enthusiast. Now this you can save images. No. Save image, okay. In Enthusiast, or in the assess level, uncount level 1, you can only save it to a certain type of file. This allows you to save it as a different type of file. You can change it. It's only PNG. Oh, here it is. In Enthusiast, you can only save as a PNG file, which is a graphic file, but when you go to save it and you have Enthusiast, you can do it as a PNG file or a JPEG.
So what's the advantage of PNG versus a JPEG? Or
depends on what your other graphics files use. A lot of times PNG, I think, is like Colorworks and Paint, that kind of thing. But when I'm when I'm writing a document for something, then I need to sometimes have it in JPEG file in order to put it into my Word document so that it looks good. And so like this, I don't know if you can see, can you guys see this right
Yes.
here? Okay, this was the April's month of the month. What I did was I took the design and let's see, let me bring up my design and I'll show you what it looks like. Open. Okay, I would take, let's say here's my 4x4. Here is my basic design. And I went in here and I eliminated, or actually I kept that and eliminated everything else. And that one, or I kept that one, sorry. Delete. And come down here and delete. Okay, so that left me with my basic design. So what I did was I saved this. I hit File and I did the save image, and I saved it to a regular file. So I'll hit OK, and I tell it what I wanted to save it to. So here's the folder I saved it to, and here's one that I saved. So this one, I actually went and I took it into my what do you call it? Color? No. You can use Microsoft Paint. And I added all the numbers. No, I don't. So let me come over here and see if I can find it. See? Because I printed up a regular paper piece version of it. so that if somebody doesn't want to embroider it, they don't have to. They can do it this traditional way of paper piecing, because I was writing a handout for it. And that's mostly where that comes into play, is when you're writing handouts. But here's the same design with the numbers in it. So it's why some software will use PNG, some software will want a JPEG. So that's all I really use that for, is mostly for writing things. And no, I do not want to save that. Here's my favorite part, is stitch editing by points. So let's just say I'm going to bring in this design again with the little ballet dancer. There we go. Ballet shoes. Okay, so now say I wanted to take something out, that I wanted to literally remove these stitches. So I could, this is the icon that you didn't have in Essentials. You have this now. It turns everything into stitch points. You can see stitch points. Every time I move a cursor and a little round circle forms, that is a needle penetration. I can take those and move them. So I can take a bunch and draw. And see now a bunch have come up. I can literally delete those and get them out of the way. And so I've created a hole. I wanted to write something else, put something in the middle. I could just take that, delete them all. Now you've got jumps behind here. So I could actually come over here and put an applique, or put something else, like put a banner on the top of it. Remember we had those envelopes, which you can use the envelopes even in the first bunch of them. That was the Essentials, you can use the envelopes, and I would pick an envelope. There's my envelope, and then I could come back to text. Okay, ABC, and here's envelope 2. To get those letters to go in here, I would change the name to letters. Let me come over here. Can't see them. Letters, and make it a 2, because it's envelope 2. And then enter and click outside, and see those letters pop right inside. So what I'd probably do is turn this into an applique here, because now I've got this envelope, that satin border, and see where the color is. I'll click on the color, and see over here it turns color, and you have a tab here for applique. I'm going to tell it that it's default to say it's not an applique, but if I put it as a position, then it fills that section so that you can put a piece of fabric underneath of it. And you can't see it now, but you would have a piece of fabric, and it would cover up those ends. And like over here, if I don't like that, I could come and make that a little bigger, go to my stitches, and I want to turn 3D off, okay? Because now I can, let me go bigger, could take in, like over here, I had a hole in here. I can click on that, right click on it, and hit insert after, and now I can fill in this area. I'm not doing it very good, but you get the idea. And then I could also, like over here, let's fill it in, and in and out, move it, move it, move it, move it, move it, move it, and fill in these areas. And then over here, same thing, I could fix these. I mean, yeah, I'd probably do a lot better job of doing it before, or just leaving it. And then, yeah, I'm not being very careful about it, but
Oh,
I mean, it's tedious, but there's times where, like, sometimes tedious is the quicker way to go, because a lot of times you'll be figuring things out, and you're going to be ripping your hair out. Usually when I do this, I'll try to end up where that one is, and then enter. You see how I have that long string at the bottom? That's where the beginning of that thread is, but I'm just gonna, usually what I do is I make a big mess like this, and then I finish close to where that point is, then I hit the enter key
Where's the enter key?
on your computer. Okay, and then go ahead and
Okay.
click to the side. And oops, I lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, goodness.
That one did.
Yeah, that one did, but it's not adding stitches.
It's not what you wanted.
Yeah. Enter and escape. No. Okay, I'm hitting something wrong. It usually does. Usually I hit enter and it does it.
But you know what? It's refreshing to see that you have issues like we do. It's not just us that, or at least me, that can't figure out why it's not working the way it's supposed to.
Right click. Right click. That's it. And it is right click. That it was all error issues. Okay. So yes, there, okay. I right clicked on a node and I hit either before or after, and I just click until I get everything I want. Usually try to blend them in and then right click. There it is. It did it that time. And like I can undo these by simply moving them back. So move these back where I made a mess. Stitch, I call this editing at the atomic level because you're literally doing one little stitch at a time. I don't recommend it, but it's a good thing when you've got something that isn't quite right to go ahead and try and fix it. Like a lot of times especially those old designs, we're talking the 20-year-old designs that were so sparse, they were a mess. Sometimes you'd have big globs of stuff, so we could look and see, like wherever you have heavy stitching on the wire thing where you've got red, that means you've got lots and lots and lots of stitching. Before we had anything like remove hidden stitches or to thin things out for density works, we would have to go into this line and remove one at a time. So we would go back out of here. There, that we would go really big into the section you wanted to do, where it was really big. You'd have the lines, and you could, well, I'll just do some of these. You could literally erase one at a time. So you would take one at a time and hit erase, or the delete key, or another one, hit your delete key, and you just keep doing that. And you could erase things. Like if I wanted this B to be shorter, I'd keep hitting the nodes and deleting them one at a time. Now with the Embrilliance here, now I have with the Enthusiast, I can take groups of them. So if I didn't want this whole big bunch, that I wanted this gap to be bigger, they all line up. I hit the delete key. I can do more than one at a time. I could also, like on a satin stitch, come over here and take my lasso around this section here. They all light up, and I could now move these as a bunch out. So you can make things slightly wider, and you could rearrange all these little points where you wanted them to go and blend them in pretty. So you're not at the mercy of living with bad designs. So you could fix little things instead of having to start all over. Okay, let me go ahead and all clear. And you know what? The easiest way is to go to a new page. Let's take that same design and say now you wanted to split a design into 2 hoopings. I'm going to bring in that same design. Must have ballet on the brain today. Okay, and I'm going to make this really much bigger. I'll make it taller. It's funny looking feet. Okay. Okay. All right. Say I only have a 4x4 hoop. I don't have a 5x7 hoop that will fit in. In the Embrilliance, in the Essentials, then I could go to Split Designs and to pick multi-position. In the Essentials, you can only use the hoops that are pre-built into the machine, such as, let's see, where's 100 by 100? 100 by 172, that'll work. Okay, all right, and pick it. Okay, that is now divided into two different hoopings, and let me show you. This is what you get in the Essentials. You have to pick a pre-made hoop. So when you went to save it, and I'm going to put save stitch and working, and I'm going to save it in, well, I'll save it here, Split Design, save. So now when I bring it up, it looks the same, but when I bring up the individual files, let's see, and open. Split Design, bottom, there's one. So here's one, I'll open that one, and I will open the other. And open. 2. Okay, so you have two different files. You have where it says number 1, it'll generate a few things. It'll generate the file that says that's this part of it, and then you have it with a little line in here that you can connect it, and it's telling you to do the bottom first and then the top. So let's just take this one down here. This would be one hooping, and this would be, let's see, this is the top, and I would take this and copy. I'm just going to copy and paste it so you can see that it's going to go together. Copy and paste. Let's copy here. And paste. There. It's two part, they're actually two different hoopings, and you do one and then the stitch one then the other. But over here, the Split Design right here, it looks whole, but as you pick each section, it's doing some entirely here, and it's splitting this in half. So that would look like, see, there's part of it there, and there's the other part here. Here is one part, here's the other. And they go together, and it puts a reference line in between so you can help line it up. This is actually, you don't have to, this is designed on the multi-position hoop for the 4x4 machine. So it automatically, you would just go to the bottom part, and then you would scoot it to the top part. You'd stitch the bottom first, because it says split bottom, and it's got a number 1 by it. So you stitch that, and then you pick up the hoop and you click it down to the next position. Because the older ones, I don't have one anymore, but it would have like 3 or 4 little clips on the side that you would clip your hoop into the machine. You would just move it down. This in the Essentials is designed for, it will do splitting designs on just the regular built-in hoop, the ones that manufactured by Baby Lock or Brother. Let me get rid of this one here and this one. New design. Let's just say we have a design that we want to split. Don't know what hoop to use or anything like that. I know what hoops I have. I will turn off the hoop first of all. Well, let's just bring the design in. Say, let's find one here. I want to open a design, and I'm going to use this this one right here. Okay, and it's bigger. Okay, much bigger than what I'm using here. Okay, it's too big. So I'm going to, let's see what kind of hoops this will fit in. So I can look at the bottom of the screen on the right-hand side. And you want to make sure that you're in metric, because what we do does not translate into inches at all. It has to be metric. Because in Embrilliance, if we have Embrilliance Essentials, we have to use the multi-hoops that it gives us. That's it. You can't add new hoops. But with the Enthusiast, you can go ahead and add your own hoops in order to split hoops into how you want them to go. So first of all, I want to note that this down here on the right-hand side tells me that this embroidery design is 179.0 millimeters by 222.4 millimeters. Okay, so, all right, I'm just going to write that figure down. Okay, so now what kind of hoops do I have? So I would go to my preferences here, and I'm going to pick up my hoops. So I'm just going to pick a 5x7 hoop, which is what it is. I'm going to rotate it. Okay, so I know it needs to rotate. Okay, it looks like it'll fit twice. But what I have to do is that would fit, the top part would fit okay, and the bottom part. So what I think, if I take that 5x7 and I lay it on its side, then I can go ahead and do this in 2 hoops. So let's see if I have a hoop like that. Yeah, I probably do, but we're going to make one. Okay, so I'm going to pick a new multi-position. And I probably have one here, but that's all right. So I'm going to do a new hoop. Okay, and I'm going to call this, I'll put in the size that I need. I need that thing to be at least as big as this design, which is, I'm going to round it up a little bit. So it's 179. So I'll go 180 times 222. So I'll make that 225 millimeters. And I'm going to put a parentheses that says it's a 5x7 double, and it's rotated. Okay, so I'll know when I want to use a 5x7, that's double up, or I might say double. I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so now here's the information I have. I have PES, that's the type I'm going to use. Its overall size, we're going to keep an eye on that because we need to make this overall size 180 by 225. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to pick, this is the hoop that I'm using. Okay, I'm going to put it in its rotated size. So 180 on the X horizontal, and my vertical is going to be 130. Okay, so it's one, if you look behind, I have a hoop down here, the 5x7 hoop is here, and it's 180 wide by 130 high. Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm going to have it in 2 columns, no, 2 rows, one here and one here, and 1 column, so it'll be 1 column wide. Okay, now what you have over here, this color by color and multi, or the left to right, these I don't bother with. I'm not even really sure what they do. And I'm going to, these are dealing with odd, weird hoops, and I think right to left means if you wanted to stitch right to left rather than left to right. So I don't care. Okay, so now over here, if you are using the 14x14 hoop that comes with the 10 needle machines, that you can rotate it so that you do 7x14 one way, and then you turn that hoop around the other way and do the other side. That's what this button right here is. The preserve center offset, not giga hoop, that's dealing with a Janome machine. So I usually don't bother with that. I like to add the basting alignment lines, and that's going to help you line it up. Okay, and then your base length, I'll leave that at 6 millimeters. That's fine. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to use this offset here to make the 130 by 80, 180 by 225 match here. So it's 180, so we don't have to do anything with the columns. It's already good. 1 column, we're good. But what we want to do is, okay, so we need to make it 225 wide. It needs to be 225. And we're going to subtract the 130, which comes out to 95. So we are taking this number where it needs to be, and we're subtracting out this Y, and I'm going to go under the offset. So the row, here's a row here and a row here. So we need those to add up. So that's going to be 95. You might instinctively think, why I'm going to put it this way for column. No, we want it right here. So that's going to say 95. And when we click on it, see right here, magically, that's 180 by 180 and 225 by 225. And I hit save. Okay, then I'm going to, here it is where it saved it. And I'm going to apply it under multi-position, and I apply it. There we go. Okay, there's the design. It's already, it's splitting for us. So I'm going to click on the design, and I'm going to come up here to the center the design in the hoop. So it centers in the design, the hoop. Okay, and it fits. There's no red flags down here when we, let's see, we'll go to try to save it. We'll hit File. Save as Stitch and Working. I'm just going to leave it called Split Design. You can name it whatever you like, and it's going to save it. Okay, it has saved it, but if we want to see what happens, we can go up to Utility and Split into Hoop. Okay, so you go up to the Utility, you go into Split into Hoop. Okay, now this side looks a little different. On the object panel, it looks, oops, oh, I want to see all, okay. Now over here, it's showing me what the two look like. If I click on this top one where it says top number one, what it does is it splits it, and it's going to tell you to do this one first and this one second, whatever, or third or fourth, or however many hoops you have. So over here, it's when I click on the object panel where it says top, it's showing you over here what it's going to stitch. And then over here, if you click on this one, it grays out the top and the dark colors. Well, here, let me change some colors so you can see what they look like. On this one, I'll make this one orange. Okay. And black, make this one orange and okay. And make the outer part, make it maybe red. Close enough. Okay. The top one is, well, it says to stitch that first, so it's going to do these colors. And the bottom one is what you do second, and it's doing these colors. That way you can see them. And you notice in the middle, it doesn't do all of this in one place. It sort of does part of this little offset area with one of the hoopings and the other with the other hooping. Let's go to Stitch Simulator. Here's how it's going to stitch. It's going to first stitch out the top, the lettering. Okay, and then it stitches the bottom part. And then over here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. Let's take a look at what we have here. Let's go to a new one. And just to show you, I'm going to bring it up. So here's the folder. I have Split Design top. You bring that up. Okay. And I'm going to move it up. And then so notice, what I want to do is I want to highlight this section right here. And I'm going to change that color, not from white. That's why we couldn't see it before. And I'm going to make it red. Okay. And then I'll open up a new one, because here's how this is the top one. This is how it stitches out. It's going to stitch the basting line, and then it's going to put the top of the design, the lettering, and then very last thing it stitches out is this reference line. Notice how it's shaped. It's like there's a line right here with a little upright thing. So I'll go to open up a new one, and we'll bring in the bottom one. Okay, here's what the bottom one looks like. And it stitches, let's go ahead and change that reference line to a different color. I'm going to make it maybe yellow or green's fine. Green. All right. Okay, so now how this side would stitch out. Okay, it does the reference line right there. First thing it's going to do. Then it's going to stitch the rest of the design. So if I take this whole thing, I'm just gonna copy and take the top one and paste it. And I can scoot it down. We would want to come down a little bit. Let me turn that hoop off so it's not just one shortcut to turn off your hoop is if you hit the shift and the H, it turns off your hoop so it's not distracting. Okay, so I am specifically looking for a green mark, the first thing it's going to stitch out, and it's right here. So let me make that a little bigger as we zoom in on it. Okay, so here's the green one of the second one. You would line up these two lines, the red and the green, which are our reference lines. And now your design will fit absolutely all together. Oop, too far. Okay, and then if you clip outside, what I usually do is I will take my basting and use the wash away thread so I don't have to take it out. And usually what I do is I hoop this big one. This is where you'd want to print out a template. So when you would print out a template at the top, let's just do the one for the bottom. Okay, so when I would go to the print preview, see it printed it out so that it has the crosshairs that you could use. You'd print it out and then you'd print them both out and line them up so you get your centers. Then when you go to stitch, you just make sure that that very first stitch on the second part of the design is going to be exactly where it did the reference stitch for the last thing on the first stitch out. So that's all we have for splitting designs and putting them back together. So let's talk about some pull compensation. Let's go ahead and add some lettering here. So here's some lettering. Let's make it bigger. Okay, let's talk about BX fonts. Now this is a feature of when you're using lettering with a BX font. I'm not talking about pull compensation like in digitizing. We'll get to that when we talk about we'll get to that when we talk about Stitch Artist, because there you do control the pull compensation. There's a pull, push, and a pull. And what that is like a lot of times if you've noticed that you've had a design that has an outline, and then and it looks great on the screen, and then when you stitch it out, that fill stitch just doesn't meet the outline. There's a gap there. Because if you think about it, a sewing machine is not a printer. So what you see on the screen is not necessarily what you get on the fabric, because as a stitch, especially a satin stitch, goes across, it's going to pull that fabric in a little bit. So it tends to distort it. And usually when, let's just say like this part of the A, pull compensation is going to say that it pulls in this way and it pushes out that way. Because like say if you had an outline right around here and you actually stitched it, the stitches would contract in towards the center and push out the end. So you can actually, with digitizing, you can control the pull and the push. Pull compensation means that you're going to overstitch that so that when it shrinks up, it'll meet up. So that's what pull compensation is. The push is a little different. So anyway, when we have a BX font, and I'm using this free one, which was block, it's called Blockish font. Okay, so you can change its color. There's the letters, and you can manipulate that, and we'll leave that for another class. Notes, anything you want to say about it that you want to remember, and then stitch. On this here, you can change the satin stitch, the density of the satin stitch and of the fill stitch if there is one, and we'll talk about that later too. But here's pull compensation. So watch what happens when I slide this over here. That over exaggerate. See how it pushed it out a little bit? A lot of times if I'm getting a little bit of pull where it's a little too thin, like I'm doing a knit or something, that over stitches it a little bit. See how, let me put this back to 0 because I want you to notice something. 0, see the 0, the B is almost at the top there. that was digitized considering pull compensation, because this is going to slightly squish in, and the threads, when it's actually stitched, are going to stitch out a little bit. So that would take care of that. But the compensation, you can use this on towels or whatever if it's just not wide enough. They're stitching too thin for your liking and you don't like it. And we'll talk about, you can also limit the satin stitch length, or you to whatever size you want it. And you can remove hidden stitches, but we'll talk about that at another time. So that's how pull compensation. Now that does not work on regular stitching. So let me go to the letters, and I'm going to change that to a regular block font. So, or something that's the one that's built in. Here's a regular block. Okay. When I go to stitch, it's, yes, you have control over pull compensation, but it's not in the same place, because when in the Embrilliance Essentials, you have the 14 built-in stitches. If you have Stitch Artist, you have some more, or you can also put in true type fonts as well. So, and any mapped alphabets that you have. This, you can control the different types of stitches, but pull compensation is going to be right here where it just says comp. And watch as I make the up, it goes bigger. Okay, I'm going to change this to a wire line, get rid of the 3D. It doesn't change the underlayment at all. That's in the regular fonts. Now in the, I could put it back on the BX font, stitch. Okay, now it does have underlayment here. See these zigzags going over here? So as, let me put this back to regular, 0. It usually will change it to, yes, it did. Here we go. When we have here, we have a single row, nothing special. And as I take that pull compensation like all the way up, notice it made the pull it pulled the underlayment out as well. It didn't change the edge stitches, but it did change that basic underlayment stitch there for the BX fonts. Okay, so now say you have, let me clear this all out. On Essentials, we have removes hidden stitches. We have both on Enthusiast. Enthusiast has this little vacuum cleaner thing. Okay, so what's the difference between the two? So anyway, so let's bring up a design. Let's bring the dancer. Okay. All right, and it's just selected. Okay, so what happens with remove hidden stitches? Let's just make a copy and paste it and flip it and move it over. Okay, and I'm just going to click over top. Whatever you want to be on top has got to be the last thing you bring in that goes on top of something. So like if I go like this and move this one here, it's still underneath. Okay, so okay, I have the one on the top selected. I'm going to hit remove hidden stitches. And when you pull it out, see, it's removed the stitches underneath. When you let go of the click, they return. So you have to do that every time. And notice it's changed. Okay. Now the sweep will do the same thing. It will also, if let me come over here and put them back, and I sweep, it also removes the stitches just the same way that remove hidden stitches went. Remove hidden stitches is when you've got two designs, one overlapped on top of the other. When you have the sweep, it's going to remove it. That is actually a density tool. I'm going to pick this one. Okay, so I'm going to look at its density and see how it's very thick here and here where you see the red. So if I have that selected and I use the vacuum tool to clean, which is clean up stitches, it's going to remove the density from a single design. Let me remove this one. It's confusing. Okay. Okay. I just have the one and it's selected and it has 15,086 stitches. So if I've selected that and I hit the vacuum cleaner, it reduced this by 3,000 stitches approximately, now it's got 12, not 894. And if I look at the density map, you see a little less of the red. Not a whole lot, but it does get rid of some. And then I'm going to undo. Oh yeah, see, it got rid of a lot of them there. Okay, and then redo, you'll see it, this is before and after I hit the sweep tool. Turn that off. All righty. So now when I pick here, I'm going to pick just anything, and I go to stitches. These are the filters you can use here. Density limiters, if you have declumping, remove underlap stitches, and limit density based on the project that you have selected. So like here's this project that we talked about. And what I'm talking about here is the utility project advisor. And when you, again, like I think I told you, this is going to affect the density. It'll automatically set all those density parameters that you have into place. And here, let's just tell it that I'm doing a bath towel. Okay. And I hit bath towel. Let's see, it has 12,894, and I set the project. It now added stitches in order to tell you it's a bath towel. Okay, let's see what it would sort. Let's go to lettering. Like with lettering, if I'm not sure if it'll do lowercase or not, I'll pick that one. And I can hit the question mark and it tells me what it does. This one has really two different colors, but 5 different color stops. And it stitches, well, it's not showing us how it stitches out, but here we go. Let's go to Sewing Simulator, and it changes it all. Okay, you've got color changes all over the place. So now if I select all, and I go to sort, and okay, and it has been reduced by 3 color stops. And I'll put here new view. And now here's how it's going to stitch. See, all the colors are together, so it moves them around. So it does all the purple first, and it does the pink later. Where the original view, it would do each one. It would come over here and do the A, stitch the A, then you'd have to change the color to the S, then it'd change it to the D and the F, change the color again, change it back, do the last 4 colors. When it's color sorted, it puts all the colors that it can, as long as they don't overlap. So now I can move these. So if I put this over here and this over top of here, and then I sort it, you'll see it'll do it differently. And sort. Okay, it only changed 2 colors. So now when it stitches, come here, there we go, it's doing that one. Comes over here, does that part.
Tour that will take them to 12
And
states.
it does the pink, another pink, and it puts the rest of those on top, because this D is on top of that pink. So it didn't want to change, it didn't want to mess that up. So it does color sorts intelligently, which is nice. And I think that's available in both the Essentials and the Enthusiast. Okay, it does a lot more, but I think I've got myself confused, never mind you guys. So next time we will go more into text and envelopes and a little bit of the Creator one. So we'll talk about how to especially with text. So we're going to investigate text. Unless you have some questions that you want me to address, send me the questions or put them in the comments when I've posted. So now one last thing I'm going to do is that we can do with the color stop, and you can do this in both Enthusiast and anything else. So I am going to go to a new file and open something else. Let's do this one. Okay. And make it a little bigger. Okay. Want to show it a little bigger. Okay. So what we used to have to do before, and when you had just color stop, you can do, if you don't have the Enthusiast and you still want to delete some elements, you can use it in the Essentials by using your color stop. So when you put your sewing simulator on, you can slide along. Let's just say I want to make these, I want to remove this whole section here. Okay. Or let's just say I want to remove this leaf. It'll make it easier. I have two things. I have a light green and a dark green. So I just have to find out where they stop. So I'm going to use my sewing simulator, and here's a leaf. Okay, that's one of the leaves I want to remove. So I hit my back and forth arrow until it's at the end of the design. Then I hit the stop button. Okay, and I can change its color. So I'm going to change its color to something else. Okay, I'll make it orange and okay. Oh, it changed all the rest of them. That's okay. But now I have it isolated from the other ones. I can just go ahead and hit the delete key, and now those are gone. And if I really wanted those back green again, I'll just turn them green. Okay, green. Okay. And the same thing here, I could take out this whole leaf area. So I'm going to watch my stitching. Okay, and here's a part. Okay, I'm just going to back up and go use my arrow keys. Okay, and insert a stop. And I'll make it gray. And now it's going to change other ones, that's fine. So I would then come and eliminate it. Again, I'm going to go back and find some more of it. It's about right there. Hit my stop. Change its color. I'm going to make it way different so I can find it. Okay, I don't want all the, let me go to brother. Brother's easier. I like to use the brother colors when I'm doing stuff, because then I have less colors to pick from. Okay, so now I'll find this part. There's one. Delete that. Run my sewing simulator again. Okay, arrow keys. Get up to the beginning, hit my stop, and I will change the color to yellow. Okay, it's got more than one spot. So now I'm going to go into my yellow because I need to split it again. Okay, we got one part of yellow. And there's another part of yellow, too far. That's close enough. Stop. Make it beige. And now I can get rid of this part of the yellow. Where's my yellow? There. Found it. And see, now I've removed that section that I didn't want. That's how we used to have to do things. And if like that one, the stem went through and then came back and then went through again and came back. So you might have to, I had to do that a few times to find all the bits that I wanted to remove. So if you don't have the Enthusiast, and yes, this would be easier with Enthusiast. So I would open the same thing. If you had Enthusiast, it just made it a little bit easier because all I had to do was lasso it. Oh, go to the stitch thing, hit my lasso, and come over here and delete it, and then make it bigger, and just delete little bits as I came to them. And delete. So it's a lot faster in Enthusiast than going through Color Stop, but it can still be, you can still remove things even with just the Color Stop. So does anyone have any questions?
So, Jerry, I have a really incredible basic one. I seem to still have Designer's Gallery. I don't have Embrilliance. How do I?
What Designer's Gallery, what? There are a bunch of different things.
Well, I have, but I have, it looks different, but obviously if I own the Designer's Gallery, I'm supposed to be able to get Embrilliance. How do I convert these over to?
You don't have to convert them. I'll show you. Let me,
But it's,
But you would-
my screen looks different than yours. Mine says Designer's Gallery on it. It doesn't,
okay.
it
Is
doesn't look.
is it Embroidery Works?
No, well, yeah, it's Embroidery Works. It's,
Okay.
but my icon comes up as Designer's Gallery, and where yours says Embrilliance at the top, mine's
Right.
Designer's Gallery.
What you have to do is go to the Embrilliance soft, well, let me see, let me go. Okay, this is what the screen looks like. That's the Embrilliance. You would go to this downloads page. Can you see
Uh-huh.
that? Okay,
Yeah.
Embrilliance platform. You would you just bring that down. So you would install that. And it's going to, and it tells you do for what kind you have, XP 11, whichever you have.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you would install that. It's going to come in it's going to come up in demonstrator mode. So when it's which means it would come up and it would look real similar. Okay, go back to this one. It would look real similar to this. Okay, but it would say Embrilliance, but it wouldn't do anything. So that you would go to the help screen up here, up in the right, where it says serial numbers.
Yeah.
And then over here in this first box, you would put in
My serial number.
your serial numbers. And I've got 3 because mine are saying mine is Embroidery Works Advanced, Embroidery Works Creator, and Embroidery Works Everyday, which
Right.
are the old Designer's Gallery. But once you install them, then now it says Embrilliance, but your passwords are still the old one. Yeah, I mean, you're not having to you don't have to buy anything new. You just use the old passwords.
Yeah, I think when I got a new laptop, it must have converted it back somehow, because I used to be at Embrilliance, but
Yeah,
Okay.
just go into that help screen, just reload your Embrilliance
Okay.
as an Embrilliance, and then go ahead and put in those serial numbers, and then it should be fine. Let me know if it doesn't, then we can go through it on a Zoom call.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jerry.
So does anyone else have any questions? Okay, well, I will see you next week. We will continue with Embrilliance. Please send me any questions or anything in particular that you want to cover with Embrilliance, and I'll make sure I have it researched. I'll
Thank
see you
you.
guys. Have a good weekend.
All right, too.
It's gonna
Bye-bye.
be nice and warm this weekend, so.
Great.
Okay, see you guys later. Bye.